Pigeons are a plump-looking bird in the dove family, but that's not a beer belly that makes them look plump. That's a whole breast full of muscle. This is what makes pigeons such strong flyers. They can hit 50 miles an hour. The current range for these birds can be seen within the red area of this map. They basically live everywhere humans live. The pigeon's close relationship with humans started about 5,000 years ago in ancient Mesopotamia. The Sumerians were particularly fond of the white ones. The native habitat for pigeons is rocky shorelines. Because many of these human settlements were far away from the pigeon's natural habitat, they were also far away from the pigeon's natural predators, specifically falcons, the peregrine falcon and the merlin. To pigeon connoisseurs, there are over 20 different color morphs of the bird, but by and large, they're kind of grouped into 7 main groups. I'm going to show you 3 of those varieties. Here's our first bird. The color morph on this guy is known as checkered. He's almost a wild-type pigeon, which I'll get to in a second, except that he has some black coloration on his upper wing. This is what makes him a checkered pigeon. And you guys may notice that I always aim for the neck and upper chest. I've said it before that the reason I do that is because pigeons move their heads around a lot. What I haven't told you is why they move their heads around a lot. Pigeons have monocular vision. That means that they see independent images on each side of their head. This gives them a huge panoramic view all the way around them, which is great for spotting predators, but not so good for achieving depth of field. Almost all predators, and this includes humans, have binocular vision. Both their eyes are in the front of their head. This creates 2 images, but the mind combines them into one image, and by doing this, you achieve depth of field. Because pigeons don't have this, they overcome it by bobbing their head back and forth. See how this trick works? The pigeon creates 2 images as well and combines them into one to create depth of field. And that's exactly where I hit this guy, right in the upper neck, and he drops like a stone. Here's our second bird of the day, and these are the wild-type pigeon, also known as the blue-bar pigeon. What this means is that in the pigeon's natural habitat, this is the morph most commonly seen. And while we're at it, we have a male pigeon and a female pigeon here, so we can compare one to the other. The female, as you can guess, is on the right, the male's on the left. You can see the size difference when you're looking at them side by side, that the male is considerably larger, 10, maybe 15% larger. He has much thicker and fuller plumage across his neck than the female. This thick plumage has 2 functions. One is that it attracts females, and 2, to intimidate other male pigeons. This plumage is also usually more iridescent than on the female, and you can see the small white fleshy part. I don't know the name of it specifically, but it's on top of their beak. On males, that's usually a little bit larger and considerably brighter. So in this case, it's going to be the female that needs to find a new mate, because I take the shot on the male. And this is not a great shot. I actually hit him lower than I wanted to. But you see him as he flies away here, how his legs are dangling like that? I did hit him solid, and that's a sure sign that you drilled him hard. You see a pigeon draping his legs like that, go after him because he's going to come down. Once you get to the area close to it, I'm going to look up here to where he was. Track that imaginary line down into the field here. First walk to that spot, sweep that area, and then work out from there. Of course, you want to bring your weapon with you when you do this. A lot of times a wounded bird could potentially get a second wind and take off on you again. You don't want to be chasing a wounded bird across the cornfield. So the goal would be to take a shot on him before he takes off. In most cases, wounded birds will not fly until you get particularly close to them. So long as you can spot it from 30 to 40 feet away, he should present you a shot. But in this case, I didn't need to do that. When I located the bird, he was already dead.
I knew I got him. I knew that was a hard hit. Through the chest here, and out his back, right here.
So you want to attract these to your area. Maybe you want to keep them as pets, or maybe you want to shoot them like I do. There are two things that all pigeons need. One is food, and the other is grit. When it comes to food, pigeons are a seed eater. They love grain and they love corn. They rarely ever eat bugs or invertebrates. The feed corn, like you see here, will draw in pigeons from miles around. So I guess the flip side of that coin is if you don't want pigeons, it would be best to clean up these food sources. The other thing they need is grit, or pebbles, or small gravel. Pigeons don't have teeth, so they need an alternative way to grind up their food, and it's done using a specialized organ called the gizzard. The stones are swallowed into the gizzard along with seeds and wheat and corn. The gizzard has a very thick muscular wall that it uses to squeeze and grind up the corn so that the bird can digest it. Of course, many of these stones are passed through the digestive system, so they need to be routinely replenished. Roadsides and gravel driveways are really popular places to see these birds land. And incidentally, we have a third color morph here. This is called a pied colored morph. The pied morph refers to any pigeon that has some white somewhere on its body. Doesn't matter where. And here's our third and final bird of this video, also a pied pigeon. This one has considerably more white on him than that last one did. And I hit this guy clean, but he falls on top of the grain bin. Now, I'm not one to ever risk my neck trying to recover a pigeon. However, I grew up on this farm and I've climbed this grain bin numerous times. I'm very confident doing this. Had it been raining or icy out, I would have left this guy on top of the bin for the raptors. It was a gorgeous day and the kitties were hungry, so I went after him. I figured you guys might like to see the vantage point of the pigeon, so I brought up my camera to give you guys a big old panoramic view of this area. Just look at all this farmland. Man, I love Wisconsin.
While I'm at it, a lot of guys say, oh, you're putting holes in your grain bin in your barn. Well, I think this is a pellet impact spot. This is thick, strong as hell steel. These pellets don't even make a dent, and that's not a metaphor. They do not make a dent. Look at this. Just a little bit of lead residue left over on the galvanized pipe.
And I suppose that's enough information for one video. I'm not doing a pigeon symposium here, I'm just a guy having a little fun on YouTube. Obviously there's a ton more data and information to cover about these birds, and maybe I'll do that in a later video. We'll call that one maybe Pigeons 201. Until then, take care guys.